There are a few foods which remain an all-time favorite across gender, across ages, across geographies, and of course across taste preferences. Chocolate, as we know, is one such food and probably at the top of the list. Chocolate as an ancient food is no different from kimchi, which is a Korean food, or kombucha, which is a fermented green tea, or our own idli, which is a mixture of urad dal fermented overnight and ground, or in my own state, a rice version where water is poured over cooked rice and it is allowed to ferment to give that flavorful sour taste which is so adored. Fermentation is a process in which tiny microorganisms which makes the raw ingredients of chocolate into the rich, complex and loved final product. Chocolates are mostly grown in the Ivory Coast. There are chocolate scientists and chocolate tasters who taste chocolates after they go into various stages of fermentation and record what is the flavor that is coming out of it, that how this original chocolate which grows football shaped fruits directly from the trunks of a plant called Theobroma cacao. South Central Americans figured out a multi-step process of how to transform these giant seed pods into an edible miracle, which is called the chocolate. Workers take out the big pod, and this is a brightly colored big fruit. And what they do is that they open it, crack it open, like we open coconuts. And they scoop out the seeds and the pulp out of this Theobroma cacao fruit. And these seeds are now called the beans, which is called the cocoa beans. Then they dry and drain for a period of 3 to 10 days. And the dry beans then are roasted and crushed with sugar, many times with dried milk powder of particular variety. They are continuously into pulverization process up to a level where you cannot distinguish between these three, that is sugar, milk particles and the cocoa. Then these are converted into bars, chips, confectionery items and many other things, including some wines that are taken out of it. But what is going on between these process of crushing the beans with sugar and milk particle is the miracle of fermentation. As I have told, in case of kimchi, kombucha, idli or pakada, or microbacteria transforming the original taste into something else, creating new ones. Let us understand a little bit of it. This natural fermentation which occurs in chocolates is because of the hundreds of individual compounds which are generated during the fermentation process. Cacao fermentation is a multi-step process. The controls that are put during the fermentation process determine what will be the final taste. The first fermentation process, yeast is added. It produces alcohol by digesting the sugary pulp, which clings to the beans in the natural stage. It generates fruity tasting molecules. And these compounds then soak into the beans. In the finished chocolates, these give the flavors. Some enzymes, they break the proteins that is there inside the cocoa seed into smaller peptides. These breaking down process makes small chocolatey smelling smells come out when the roasting happens because of the enzymes getting those antioxidant molecules into it. Chocolate also many times is referred as a superfood. Chocolate making process, external organism must be thoroughly controlled because otherwise they will kill the entire process. Where farmers rely on natural microbes in the environment to create unique and local flavors is known as the local. That is why we call Brazilian flavor of cocoa, we call it Swiss flavor of cocoa. And this entire process of wild fermentation is known as terroir process. Like we have California grapes, we have Australian grapes, we have South American, South African grapes, we have Israeli grapes, which gives totally different colors. The wild microbes of local region, which are seasoned by the local ecosystem, provide that unique taste of chocolates. Now, these high quality beans and chocolates of exotic variety, the demand never ceases to grow. Generally, the bars will have some little cocoa beans and mostly sugar. However, chocolate in the raw state must be consumed in order to taste the flavor, in order to savor the flavor, and in order to appreciate the power of fermentation to change, convert, and transform. A God given process, fermentation creates magic foods, create taste, create flavors. So chocolates and idlis are no different. Chocolates and kimchis are no different in terms of the way in which absolutely unedible formats are converted into relisses and great food. Thank you very much.